Hello everybody. Last summer of 2025, I was rummaging around through one of my fossil sheds and came across this rock about so big, kind of heavy, it's about this thick, and it's got 4 echinoids on it, extinct echinoids, called Scutalaster major. They look exactly like the modern day ones of Dendrasters today, Dendraster eccentricus, but they are not. I take this rock that I found back in the 1990s, and of course it was in storage all that time since then, and then I take you through every step that I do to take them from being encrusted with all this rock stuff, sandstone and whatnot on them, and make it into a gorgeous specimen. And you can watch that video right over here. Here is a rock I found, 25 years ago at least. This came from, there's 2 formations there, the Scotia Bluff Formation and the Rio Dale Formation. This came from the Rio Dale Formation after an earthquake, when a cliff came down and just covered the banks of the river, the Eel River there. And in these huge chunks of sediment, and I mean huge chunks, they're half the size of a house, some of them, there was these hard rock lenses. This is pretty hard rock. And I'd be digging out these lenses and then split them in half and hope that they split right. This one split pretty good. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all sand dollars. Echinoderms. They're known as Scutalaster major. I'll show you how you tell these are different from the modern day ones, even though they look exactly the same. But the poop shoot is on the top of these ones. They're about 2 million years old, where the ones on the modern day ones are on the bottom. But what I'm going to do first, jeez, I thought I dosed that up. Oh man. There, now you can see it a little better. This one's got some damage. As you can tell, the shell here. The shell at the top of the test here, the test is the home of the critter, basically. You can see how thin that shell is. So you got to be really careful not to go through the shell. And I can see now that I'm looking at it, there are some fractures in these sand dollars. At least that one, this one, this one. So I'm going to glue those before I even attempt to do anything. So when I glue the cracks, all I do is try to get those down at a flat surface. Glue that so we don't lose any more. What the hell's going on? Oh, Jesus. Be careful with this stuff. It can be dangerous. What the hell? Sorry, I don't mean to swear. Alright, I don't know what's going on. I gotta figure this out. Okay, that was weird. I've never had that happen before to a glue bottle, but I just replaced the cone on top and went to work. Anyways, I got everything I think that was damaged, not really damaged, but you can see my old chisel marks when I split this in half, right by the sand dollar here. So it was kind of lifting up. There's a crack there, so I glued the crap out of that. What I'm going to do first, before I actually start any work on here, is take this hammer. This is loose. Thought it was loose. Take that off of there. Okay, I want to be careful of this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my air scribe and take this rock off here so that when I'm taking my grinder and I'm grinding on this because that's the only way to do this. This is a very hard sandstone. I don't need that in the way, so I'm going to bevel that. I'm going to take this rock up here so I can expose this going all the way around to here and get rid of these rocks here, maybe some of this. This sand dollar here goes all the way underneath here. So I'm going to take off some of this stuff so I can expose more of that. Be nice to find one right up in here somewhere, but that's not always, well, fingers crossed on that one. So basically I'm going to just turn that, probably help if I turn the machine on. I'll be back. Alright, I've got so many air scribes. Same kind of air scribe, different style of tip. Same style of tip, but sharpened differently. This was not even plugged into the air, where this one is. And basically all I'm going to do, this is the easy stuff right here. You can see the edge of this sand dollar right here. That'll be all cleaned up when I'm done. But there's a big wad of sandstone stuck right here. So to speed things up with the grinder, I'm simply just going to use the side of the tip to take that off of there. Like so. Now when I'm all done with the air scribe work and I start grinding and stuff, you'll find out why a toothbrush and water come in super handy, and I'll show you that here in a little while. But right now I'm going to finish up taking all this rock off and all this rock off and whatnot, and hope I find another sandy dollar. Yeah. Okay, so I cleaned up this area a little bit, around here, around there, so I'm exposing more. I thought I'd take some rock off. Luckily it broke right here above this one that's ventral. And there is sand dollar there, but it's pieces. There's a piece of one. It's probably hard to see, but there's one right here. It's all broken up. This is probably the same one. It's hard to say. That one's ventral, that one might be. Well, anyways, it's not looking good for finding another complete specimen, which is fine. That's still going to be one cool rock. Boy, I used to sell a lot of these back in the 90s when I was a fossil dealer. Oh, I sold hundreds of these. Jeez, cost an arm and a leg today. Oh well. Anyways, back to work. My little handpiece for aluminum oxide grinding wheel. This one's probably 30 some years old. These are back when they used to make things that last. The ones they make nowadays, I can't find any good ones. If I do the foot pedal, so all I do there you dust mask. Now then, I told you I'd show you what the water's for. Have a little dry off thing. Put a little water on there and it tells you exactly what's going on. I got a ways to go. The light stuff is the actual critter, or the home of the critter. So, dry that off. And back to work. I'll show you in a little bit what the grinding does. Another tip is when this was drying, you could see the crack was still wet. So I glued this one. Now I just glued this one and then sprayed it with the accelerator so I can get back to work. So, back to work! Boy, this one's in bad shape. I'll even show you. There's a crack right here, right here, right here, right here, right there, and right there, and There might be one there, but that's already been glued, so. Wow, this guy's taking some TLC for sure, but wait till you see. It's going to be nice to have this because you'll be able to see the bottom of one of these, not just tops. Tops are nicer, I think, but this is going to make it for a very cool piece. Back to work. I was finally able to do some grinding on this thing. Now to wet it down, you can see the lighter areas. There's still lots of stuff on this dollar that's got to come off. Study it and see it, figure out where you got to do more grinding and until it's all done. Well, at least for that stage anyways. Alright, back to work. Starting to look like a sandy dollar. You can see it's discolored from minerals going through the ground. Part of it's not going to be near as light as others, but that's fine with me. But you can plainly see I've got a ways to go, but now I got to be a little more careful. I can't just keep grinding down everything because pretty soon you're going to be going through the certain places of the test. And this looks flat, but it is not flat. Believe you me, that is not flat. First of all, it's concaved, and it's bumpy. Believe it or not. Doesn't look. Okay, that's starting to look like something now. There's still some areas in here that's got some sand in it where it's more of a cavern, not cavern, a canyon, you know, whatever. But that's not too bad. Now I'm going to do that to these other three, and then I'm going to go to the sanding barrels. The dreaded part is to the sink where I hand sand these and then polish them up. And you're going to see it all, every darn bit of it. Now let's hope that one doesn't fall to pieces. That looks pretty fragile, that one. Yeah, it was in bad shape. Still looks nice though. It helps the cluster. Yeah, the cluster. All right, I'm gonna have to use some smaller tools to get into these areas. I got a little bit more to do here, but that's so fragile. I'm gonna use the sanding barrels for this stuff. Okay, now on to this one, the middle. And don't forget your dust mask. Dang it, all the heck. Alright, a fair bit more to do around here and stuff, but getting there. Before I get to the grinding wheels, though, I'll get to the smaller stuff and get these areas that I can't hardly reach. Yeah, that's the ticket. Alright, back to work. Gotta take my mask off, down real quick, put it back on real quick. It's looking pretty good, but you can see I'm going too far on the top here, these little holes. You gotta be super careful of those tops, but these are, for whatever reason, these are super fragile sand dollars. But still gonna be cooler than you know what. Alright, now for the last one. Not too bad for just grinding. Now I'm going to take the grinder and I'm going to use this little tool here. It's just a stone, so I can get into the smaller area stuff. And then I'm going to get to the sanding barrel, and just to show you, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's different grits. This is 80 grit, this is 120 grit. Okay, I forgot that these smaller type tools have different shanks, so luckily I have a whole bunch of different chucks of different sizes. So that one fits that one. So with this, I simply take the head off of this thing, take the chuck that's too big out, take this chuck, put it in. Of course, you don't need that in there. Take the head, put that back on. Then put the new tool in. Oops. Like so. Give it a snugness, a snug tightener, and then take the little wrenches and, mind you, this handpiece is like 35 years old, so you probably got the new fandangled ones where you just, I don't know, push a button. So through the magic of video, wah, that's ready to go. I think that's a 80 grit. Might be a bit much. If so, I'll find out in seconds. If that's too much, I'll go down to 120 grit. And basically, you're going to wear out the edges of these sanding barrels. You turn the barrel over, you wear out the other edge, and you just keep going. But that was the top. Now I've turned it around, put it back on. I'm going to screw it tight and use the other edge. The other edge just kind of quit cutting. Now when I do this, I don't take the sanding barrel all the way to the bottom because I want a little bit of pliability in there, if that's a word. Whoa, what the hell's going on? Jeez, it's always freaking something. Okay. Again, through the magic of video, abracadabra presto. I went from 80 to 120. So now I'm going to do 120 on all of that stuff. And then I'll give it the water down test and check it out. I'm sure there's going to be more stuff to do, but little tiny things. And presto, changeo, schmanjo. That was the top, now it's the bottom, that was the bottom, now it's the top. Okay, I just got done, and the tool I was using making a heck of a noise. Where's my foot pedal? Yeah, almost a brand new Fordham and it's broke. Jeez, I thought that was a good quality tool. Maybe it's coming from China. God, who knows? Just one more thing I gotta deal with. Oh, this is getting old as crap. Okay, so anyways, this has to go back in the house. Not back in the house, but in the house. And then I'm gonna start with wet dry 220 sandpaper. I'll cut it in strips and fold it 4 different ways so that it holds itself and I can sand little corners and stuff. Then from there I'm going to go to 360, and then from there, which won't take much, go to 500 grit. I used to have 600, I don't know what happened. And then from there I'll take the polishing rouge and buffing wheel and a small one. I don't know how I'm going to do that with a broken tool now, but I'll figure something out. Okay, to the kitchen I go. Okay, here I am in the kitchen sink. Here is the rock. It's heavier than I think. Now I've got several pieces. I start off with 220 wet dry sandpaper. It might take a minute or two to get this water to where it's not too hot, it's not too cold. But all I do is I sand the echinoid. Oh, jeez, this is going to be tough. I sand the echinoid, that's all I sand. I remember doing this. God, I used to do a lot of this. Now, I'm not going to leave this on for an hour or two to show you the whole 9 yards, but it looks nice when it's wet. I should probably zoom in on that a little bit. So to check it, you have to dry it and hold it at different angles and see where the scratches are, the worst of them, and then attack that area. And you just keep doing that and keep doing that until the whole dollar is done. Dollar meaning sand dollars. So I've got 4 of these to do. I'm going to get to work. Alright. There's one.
One echinoid done?
That's 220. I've hit it once, all pretty good. That's the brunt of it, but I'll have to check that. Well, I'll have to dry it, check it, and do the batteries until the 220 is done. Then I gotta go to the 360, and then I gotta go to the 500. Then I can polish them. Okay, that's the second time. I've dried it off to check. They actually look pretty good. I'm gonna go to the 360 now, but to let you know, you can see how this is all, the rock is all wet, which makes these sand dollars stand out even more. So when this is all said and done, and these are all polished, I will take my Gliptol and literally put it all over the entire rock, except for the sandy dollars. Make them really pop. Boy, that's tough on the fingers. Okay, now I can go to the 500. You can, I don't know if you can see that little hole right there. Let's see if I can, right there. That's the poop chute. It's on top of the test where this is an extinct sand dollar, the one that looks exactly like Dendroster eccentricus. You go out the ocean today and you'll find those, but that poop chute is on the bottom side of the test. Okay, now to 500. Whew! That was a job. I'm gonna let this dry and take it out to the garage tomorrow, and I'll use the polishing rouge and the buffing wheels, and I'll clean that up, and that's what it looks like right now. Actually looks pretty good. Tomorrow it won't look that good until I'm done with it. Okay. Polish these babies up. Actually hold it. These are just your average, everyday, normal echinoids from that site. This one is what I call an A grade, and you don't find many like this. This one came out absolutely freaking gorgeous, and you can see the poop chute right down here. Extinct species, Scutalaster major. And then this one's not an A grade, but it's the third brown one I've ever seen, even though I found these in the 90s. It's got a big chip here, but look at the color of that. Oh, that's just freaking beautiful. And a nice pattern too. And of course, there's the poop chute right there. Scutalaster major. Now then, I started using this polishing rouge for stainless steel because it was cheaper. I had absolutely zero money in the 90s. And this stuff was like 3 times less expensive than the green stuff, and I've just used it ever since. But let's hope my machine holds out. Simply load your... Whew, I'm gonna master that, and then simply Now, I don't know if you can see the difference between that and that, but it really brings it to life. Makes it pop. So, okay, look at those babies. That's freaking gorgeous now, but, and some of you may wince at this, but I'm going to coat this whole thing in Glyptol. And wait till you see what happens. And not only that, but I learned way back in the early 90s, if I put Glyptol all over this sandstone, which takes quite a bit of Glyptol, it keeps your shelves from collecting sand. But that's what I'm going to do. So, back to work. I'll show you what that looks like as soon as I'm done. Alright. Oh, this kills the arm holding it at that angle. Okay. You can see where I started. We're almost dry. It dries very quickly. And to where I've just finished, where it's still kind of dark in color. But that holds that sand into place. I scrubbed the crap out of that. But no matter what, I learned way back in the early 90s, you put that on the shelf without putting sauce on it, you go to clean up your shelf. It's got sand all over it. Anyways, I've done the whole rock. Oh, get a load of that. Holy crap-a-moly. It's small, but it's heavy. It's heavy for me anyways. Get a load of that. Can you imagine that sitting on your shelf just like that? 2 million years old, ancient sea bottom, shell material, 3 dorsal sides of sand dollars, 1 ventral side, old ones that I didn't touch that are broken up, pebbles, conglomerate, I don't know what you call it. Just super cool. Wow. But too big for my collection, so I like to say another rock out of the garage into the house, but this one's staying in the garage for now. Anyways, ta-da!